hey, look, maybe you've got a completely different view to me on this. I don't know. But it seems blindingly obvious to me that we are going to have to build more prisons. Otherwise, we're going to end up with criminals walking free because we haven't got anywhere to put them.
Well, that is one view, absolutely. Yeah, you could look at it like that. But you have to think, well, where's all this money coming from to build all these lovely new prisons? You know, our prison population has, like you said, expanded like fourfold since the early 1990s, and it's predicted to go over 100,000 by about 2027, 2028. So clearly we need to do something. Now, with you say, like, it's not just Wandsworth prison that is overcrowded. Wandsworth was actually in third in the table of most overcrowded prisons. Leeds was first, followed by Durham, and then Wandsworth. I think it's something along the lines of 60% of our prisons are running out overcrowded. And by overcrowded, there is a limit to what the prison is built to hold. In Wandsworth's case, it's around about 900, slightly over. But it's currently locking up over 1,600 men. Yeah. So clearly it was running at 163% over its certified normal accommodation, which is just ridiculous. But you then have to look, who are we actually locking up? So we're in this country, we seem to be locking up a lot of foreign national prisoners because we can't deport them fast enough. A lot of prisoners who shouldn't be in prison, who have mental health issues, learning disabilities, who have got themselves in bother and nobody knows what to do with them. So what do? We put them in prison. And then you've got, of course, the short-termers, the non-violent first-time offenders that the judiciary in this country seems to be absolutely desperate to lock up behind bars.
But this is an interesting one, Vanessa. That's a really interesting point now. I just want to cut in on that because I report regularly on, lawless Britain, people walking around, shoplifting, left, right and centre, couldn't give a toss, don't think they're going to go to prison, all of that stuff. I also report quite often on your more serious offenders who very regularly, it appears, don't get the kind of sentence that many people might think is fitting for the crime that they've committed. But we are clearly locking up some people. My view is I don't understand how, unless we build more prisons, we are going to end up having to let some nasty people out of court without going to jail, aren't we? Because we will run out of space, surely. We already have.
But you could have said that in the 1990s when they started, making cells that were built for one prisoner. They put bunk beds in them either side, so it now holds 4 prisoners. So, I don't think we're actually worrying about, are we running out of space today? What I am saying is, in the longer term, we need to look at the prisoners that we're locking up. What is the point of locking up somebody for 3 months who's shoplifted, I don't know, a bottle of whiskey? OK, so in that 3 months, the prison hasn't got time to do anything with him. He'll serve half of that sentence. So
is it not a deterrent? Vanessa, is it not a deterrent?
No. Right. No, it's not. Because in that 3 months, he'll serve 6 weeks. He'll lose his home. He'll lose his job. He'll probably lose some part of his family. So when he's released after 6 weeks, what does he do? Where does he go? Where does he live? Well, he goes on to commit more crime. Those sentenced to less than 12 months for non-violent offences, 63% of those will reoffend within the first 12 months upon their release. This is costing us money. It's costing me money as a taxpayer. It's costing your viewers money as taxpayers. Surely there is a better option.
Well, I agree with you.
Everybody up.
I do. Look, I get the points that you're making, right? I mean, the other side to it, which maybe we haven't considered, is the fact that our population is going to keep growing. So just by virtue of the fact that we're going to end up continuing to have this population boom, I would say that even just for that alone, we do need to build more prisons. Like, we need to build more hospitals. Like, we need to build more schools. Like, we need to build, more everything, really. I mean, I think it's one thing maybe just saying, well, if we stayed as we are today with the number of people in the country, then we can maybe look to manage things better. But the fact is, we're going to end up with millions more people here in the next few years. So surely we therefore have to have more prisons as well, no?
Well, Yes and no. I mean, it would be lovely if we could get rid of all the old Victorian prisons that are currently not really fit for purpose. And by that, I mean Wandsworth, Wormwood Scrubs, Pentonville, Brixton, Lincoln, Leeds. All of these are old Victorian prisons that, they're really not fit for purpose. It's very difficult for staff to do anything bar lock and unlock people in those kinds of prisons. You may say, well, that's a good thing, don't commit the crime. But actually, that's just not going to happen, is it?
I mean, it's interesting to get your take on it, because I'll be honest with you, I mean, where I kind of come down is like, well, yeah, if you didn't commit a crime, then you wouldn't have the risk of getting into prison. And I do think that if you commit a crime where you could end up going to prison and you get let off with a slap on the wrist, is that really going to deter you from doing it again? But I do take your point that then if you are put in prison for 6 weeks, and in that 6 weeks you've lost your house, your wife's left you, and you haven't got a job, then when you come out, you're not really going to come out and probably stay on the right side of the law. Maybe, yeah. So, look, it's an interesting discussion. Vanessa, look, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show, as ever. And, go on, one more. Go on, you want to make a point quickly?
Go on, just quickly say, why can't we make those sorts of prisoners, instead of having 3 months or 6 week sentence, why can't we put them in the community and make them work for the community that they've offended against?